Hello, can you hear me?
Are you Lush?
I'm Lush. Hello. Nice to meet
God, you look
you.
amazing.
What, this old thing? Please.
Oh my God, I can't believe it. You look fantastic. I feel frightfully underdressed. Let me get a hairbrush. Hold on.
You could never be underdressed, my love.
Oh, I'm wearing an Agnes B shirt that I bought for my mother 40 years ago, probably. I've had a wild more. I mean, here's me, getting my makeup together, and look at you. You just look unbelievable. Hold on, I'm cold. Hold on, I'm just going to get my. Can you wait one second?
Anything for you. Grab a cardigan.
I'm putting this coat on now because I think it will probably, hopefully, look good on the screen.
You always look good on the screen, my love.
How's that?
Aren't you adorable?
Does that look fun?
That looks fun and stylish, as always.
Reversible.
That's
oh,
great.
Darling.
Is it that cold in Queensland right now?
I'm in Sydney. Where are you?
I'm in Sydney. I'm in Parramatta, honey.
Oh, darling. I'm on the lower North Shore.
Well, one of us has class. I don't think it's me.
Oh, well, don't be ridiculous. Don't be ridiculous. Hold on. There are amazing mansions around you, aren't there?
A few, not bad. One day I'll own one.
Hold on, I've just got to honk. So Lush. This okay, so why don't we start?
Absolutely.
I'm ready when you are.
Oh, thank you so much for doing this. And thank you,
More
Christopher.
than a pleasure. I'm just wondering whether I should do the button up for more fun.
Absolutely. This is only the audio anyway. This is just us.
Exactly. But I just like it to be glad. Well, look how you've dressed just for me.
Oh, I would do anything for you. I'm just a little bit of a fan, just a kid.
Oh, good. Well, please.
We did meet at Jim Sharman, so yeah. A couple of years ago. We met at a Jim Sharman thing a couple of years ago.
Oh, right. That was great. In fact, I'm going to see Jim this afternoon.
Oh, give him my love.
Absolutely. I will. Does he know you?
Probably not. Just say Lush says hi.
Okay, I will.
And if he wants to come in for an interview, more than happy.
All right, darling. Thank you.
So we're going to start if you're okay. And
I'm ready.
Just do my little bit of an intro. And to all of the people out there in Gaywaves land, to paraphrase the phrasing of a favorite movie riffing of mine, a long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, God said, "Let there be Nell." And there was, and she was awesome. My wordy lordy, yes, folks, it's a huge moment for me personally because I am speaking to Little Nell. And if you don't know her as Columbia from the Rocky Horror Show or Nurse Ansalong in Shock Treatment or that lovely little movie Jubilee, we can't be friends anymore. But I'm going to teach you if you don't know. So absolutely welcome, Nell, to Gaywaves, and thank you for coming.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me. And for those listeners out there, I want you to know that Lush is dressed top to toe as the most stunning Transylvanian from Rocky Horror. And I'm crazy impressed. The makeup, the hair, the outfit. Look at that eye makeup's to die for. Bravo. You must have been up at about 4 a.m. getting that together.
No, this is actually a 10-minute job. I've been doing Transylvanian since the 80s, so I'm used to this.
Got it down.
Down pat, darling.
I just read that it took Tim Curry 4 hours to get ready on the set, which I can't remember because I was, getting ready myself. And we used to have to get there so early in the morning, as all, film folk do. but 4 hours is a long time.
It's a
And
very...
they used to have to draw the tattoos on every day.
I thought they were temporaries. Just
no, they didn't have such a thing in 1973. No, 74.
Yep, 73 was I believe, the play.
Yeah, we did the show then, and then the following year, the film, and the following year it came out.
How does a young Sydney girl get cast in a production like Rocky Horror? Tell me everything.
Well, many things. First of all, I was living in London. At the time, I was 20, and I was busking in the street, and Jim saw me. And the show, Richard O'Brien was in a production of The Unseen Hand by Sam Shepard that Jim directed at the time. And the musical director on that little show, it was at the theatre upstairs of the Royal Court, which is just basically a room that each production turns into whatever they want it to be on a shoestring budget. And so Richard said, played a little tape. But I think he first actually just played science fiction on the guitar to Richard Hartley and to Jim Sharman, and had this little script. Anyway, Jim said he would put it on at this sort of big room, the theatre the upstairs of the Royal Court Theatre, and they came into the cafe I was working in as a soda jerk, and asked me if I'd like to be in it. Well, there I was, all of 20. It was my first job in London, and it was £18 a week, and we were going to rehearse for 3 weeks and run for 3 weeks. So basically, it was a 6-week job.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, we opened. After 3 weeks rehearsal, and during that time, Richard wrote the script with help, with contributions along the way, very much from the brilliant Brian Thompson, the set designer, and Jim Sharman, the director. And also Jim would say, oh, we need a song here, or we need a song we need like a dance routine, can you go home? And so Jim would just think something up and ask for it, and the next day Richard would arrive with the song.
So it wasn't even a complete play when it was going on.
No, it wasn't complete at all when they committed to doing it. It was sort of half the songs were there and very little of the script, but it was just, it's very much Richard O'Brien's baby. He, did write all the songs and he wrote the script, but the the creative contributions from Jim Sharman, Brian Thompson, Sue Blaine, and Richard Hartley. Sue Blaine was the costume designer. It was that creative team made it all possible.
And I'm told there was not even a tap dance routine at the beginning, but you made that happen. You inspired it.
Oh, there was no time. There wasn't a song called The Time. There wasn't even a character called Columbia. Originally, there wasn't a Columbia, but Richard added a Columbia before rehearsals, but there was no time warp. That was Jim deciding he wanted a dance number for the household staff, that being Riff Raff, Magenta, and Columbia. So he asked for that because it was inspired by a French film he'd seen. Hold on. Sorry, springtime allergies. Anyway, so from that little tiny acorn, an oak tree has grown.
It has indeed, and
yeah,
it moved to the US to become the film, and a good portion of the original cast moved over with it. So
Jim would have had pretty much all the original cast had he been allowed, but 20th Century Fox insisted. He cast Brad and Janet as the American couple. And mercifully, they were great in the roles. He cast those roles very well. Jim was a very imaginative caster of his. I think he said something like, if you cast it right, you're 90% there, because considering half of us couldn't really sing, and it was a musical, that was impressive. They usually go after, yes, I know my love has come to town. I can't bear that kind of Broadway singing. They've got around it a bit, even on Broadway now, but I can't bear that sort of singing that's associated with musicals, even though I am a big musical fan and I love everything from everything of Rodgers and Hammerstein, and all the way up to, Hamilton. So I am someone that, who does have a lot of show tunes in my brain. In fact, my darling ex, who's the father of my daughter, said, if I could just take those show tunes out of your brain.
I think show tunes make the world go round. That's what it's all about.
You may have an argument there, Lush.
Well, if it wasn't for music, where would we be?
Oh, well, music, yes, but show tunes are a particular taste. I love them. Many people cannot stick them.
I love a good show tune.
But then I don't like trad jazz either.
Fair enough. I can answer that. Yeah, I respect that. You totally messed with my head now. So our next question. I had a roll going. I've actually. I've never seen this in an interview anywhere, and it's just something I personally always wanted to know. At the end of the time warp, in the tap dance in the castle, when you fall over, was that deliberate or was that planned?
Deliberate.
You did.
Yeah, no. If I'd fallen over accidentally, they wouldn't have, included it. But it didn't happen in the play. But Jim wanted that to happen. I think it was like, at the pleasure of Riff Raff and Magenta to have me fall over, getting too big for my boots, sort of thing.
Makes perfect sense now. Thank you for answering that. Yeah. That's just a one-off thing I've always wanted to know.
Yeah.
And so many, I know we've got a lot to talk about because you've got a new show coming up and we will definitely get to that. But people love to sing and dance and dress up to everything that you do. You are a cult. You're a cult figure. What is your sexiest Rocky moment ever?
Oh.
This is Gaywaves. We can talk about anything and you can drop the F-bomb here.
I think when we were making the film, that was, as we are saying, that was 1974, and there was no gym culture at all then. I used to do dance classes, but it's just interesting that if you look at everyone's figure, none of us were doing sit-ups or anything. So when we come out in the floor show, we all look so amazing, and yet it was all just completely natural, which is rather sort of charming in retrospect. The Jim couldn't. There was no such, like, when Jim originally cast Rocky for the original stage production. No one had muscles. He just had to find someone that was vaguely fit, and he found Raina Burton, who was a hoot. But so I think I look probably the sexiest in the floor show because everyone looks amazing. I mean, Susan's, everyone's figure, I can't believe it. The legs, and Tim had such good legs. My mother used to say men in general have better legs than women, and I think, and ever since she said it, it's true. You'll see many more men with great legs than women. The way that she also said, incredible eyelashes, boys tend to get them more than girls.
This is true. Tim had great legs. You had great legs. With a nip slip.
Barry had great legs.
Barry has great legs.
He had great legs, and Magenta and Richard O'Brien, and funnily enough,
and you too,
Jonathan Adams.
Yes, surprisingly, yes. Not something you would expect, but yeah.
That in the no. Anyway, yeah, because in the stage production, the actor that played Eddie doubled up as Dr. Scott. And Meatloaf had played Eddie in Los Angeles, in the Los Angeles production, which was the first production they did after London. And when he was offered the film, he was desperate to play Dr. Scott as well. And Jim said no. And well, Meatloaf says that, and I'll because I'm seeing Jim later today, I'm going to ask him, did he regret not letting Meatloaf play that role? But I thought Jonathan Adams was brilliant in the role, and also I adored Jonathan Adams as a person. And we worked together for 7 months in the show. The show continued running, but I left after 7 months. But also Meatloaf, the most adorable person, who I used to see all the time.
I kind of regret not seeing him in
he died of COVID. Did you know he was an anti-vaxxer?
No, I did not.
He was an anti-vaxxer and he died of COVID. He was an anti-vaxxer with asthma who died of COVID. And he had under, what is it? Under the, what do they keep saying? Other problems.
Did not know
underlying
that.
Problems or whatever.
That's the word, underlying.
Underlying. I know it sounds so funny. It doesn't underlying. I've underloaned some wonderful people. I've underlined a lot of wonderful people.
I think I've overloaned some. Never getting that back. So let us move on, my darling, to your nightclub. I think you opened that in 1986. Nell.
I did.
What an original name. Tell me everything.
Well, I didn't want to call it that, but the married couple, Keith and Lynn McNally, who had 2 very successful restaurants, which remain very successful all these years later, asked me if I'd like to do a nightclub with them. I happened to be visiting and staying with them. And I said, yeah. I mean, but it was completely, hadn't done anything like that. And so Keith said, well, we have to find where we're going to have it this week or we're not going to do it. So, okay, no pressure. Well, we found the site the next day. It was it had been a hardware store. And so we got the lease, took the lease on it and started putting the place together, decorating it. And it wasn't till very late before we opened. I mean, very close to when we were getting ready to. It was like, what the hell are we going to call this place? And they both said, I think we should call it Nell's. And I was like, are you kidding? If this place isn't a success, that's going to look so bad on me. I didn't want to know about it being called Nell's. But anyway.
And yet it was bigger than Studio 54.
I had no ego about it whatsoever. It's a funny thing. It just, to me, it was it's like Columbia is I'm not Columbia. I played Columbia and I'm not that club. It had my name and I was there every night. But somehow, what I'm saying is none of it fed my ego. But I adore that people get such a kick out of Rocky Horror. And I absolutely love everything about anything you think about to do with Rocky Horror, the fans, the devotion, the fact it's helped people with their, come out if they're gay or trans or would, cross dressers, whatever it is. I love that it's been so liberating for all those people and it's helped them find other, people who are similar to them, and they've, found what they tell me is like a new family, because many Americans come out to their families and they become disowned. It's just tragic. But so many Americans are so conservative, and that they still have a very high number of Bible bashers as a rule. I'm compared to other countries, they're very religious in the most conservative fashion. Anyway, so I just think it is marvelous that little tiny show that we did at the tiny theatre upstairs, which sat 62 people, that's all the chairs they could fit in, that it's become, here we are, getting on to 50 years later, and it's, in fact, next year will be the 50th anniversary of the show.
Mm.
And so anyway, it's all marvelous to me. I absolutely love it, and I love meeting the fans, and they're all just such, I love hearing their stories. It's very moving for me, and I think, everyone involved is very touched by the whole thing. And of course, at the same time, none of us can believe that tiny show became what it is.
Oh, it's a true cult thanks to people like you. I have friends around the world from the 80s that are still Rocky Horror, and all of the Facebook groups, everything.
Isn't that just the greatest?
It is. And the Rocky Horror Phenomenon, I'm told, is coming out next year, the documentary.
Do you know Tony?
I know Tony. I know Andreas, who did the documentary. Tony. He says hi.
Yeah. Oh, I love Tony.
So some of the best people in the world are the people you will meet at Rocky, because they're family.
That's right. But I consider I am part of the family too.
Right. You're the weird aunt that sits at the barbecue with the Chardonnay.
No, I don't want to be the weird aunt. Well, I'm family.
We love the weird aunts. That's the one everybody goes through.
Auntie Mame, Auntie Nell. Fair enough. I'll take it. Anyway, it's a wonderful situation.
You are an LGBTQI plus everything icon.
Thank you. That is just, I can't think of any. It means so much to me that you say that. It really does.
Yeah, every single person I know has.
I like to sort of see myself as an ambassador for the LGBTQ plus.
That's an excellent phrase. An ambassador. I like that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to use that at some point. So I also have a lot of your music that I'm going to play at the end of the show, because Fever is one of my favorite songs.
Oh, thank you. Now, you know that all those songs I did were with Richard Hartley, who was the musical director of Rocky Horror, and Brian Thompson, who was the set designer. So we were doing our thing even after the film.
Which is exactly how it should be. Families never go away.
Yes.
Well, not the good ones. So you do have a show coming up, I believe, which is
All's Now. That ends now.
That's the one. It's playing in Queensland venues at the moment, I believe, which is why I thought you were in Queensland. Tell me what people can expect.
Well, the show is hold on, I'm just going to also add that I'm doing a on the 9th, Sunday the 9th at 4 p.m. So bring a hip flask. I am doing my first show at the Brunswick Heads Picture House, which is a fabulous venue. I've been there before. Absolutely divine. And here's the deal. I've been wanting for years to do a show with me sharing all my photos with people, because I've taken photos, most of my life. Well, not with a posh camera, but just, take Instamatics. Anyway, so I've got these, thousands of photos. So I thought, well, I wanted to do a show where I, can share the photos and tell the story. And I was going to, originally I thought I'll do a sort of synopsis of my life. And then I realized, are you kidding? I've only got time for 2 subjects. So I've chosen Rocky Horror and my nightclub Nels. So it will be me talking you through, the story of Rocky Horror and behind the scenes, and the same with my nightclub Nels.
Oh,
with lots of photos.
Any secret gossip we can spread here before it gets there?
No, darling, you have to come to the show.
But you're in Brisbane. That's too far.
Who was sleeping with who, and who was, not speaking to who? You got to come to the show.
Oh, this is an unpaid gig. I can't afford that.
Oh, God, the tickets are extremely fairly priced.
The tickets are a very good price. The airfare, there's your problem. But next time.
Wait there. Oh, of course. Sorry, yes. You're in Sydney. I keep thinking you're in Brisbane. Sorry. Yeah.
So, and hello to Brisbane and the lovely Christian Fletcher, another great Rocky Horror fan. I think you probably know. So everybody knows Nell. Everybody wants to know Nell.
Oh, I'm just so flattered by all of this.
So you were also an extra in a lot of movies. I've got you down as Ken Russell in Listmania and The Wall. I watched The Wall. I
In
couldn't see you.
Listomania, I wasn't an extra in Listomania. I had a scene. I was in bed with Roger Daltrey, and Ringo Starr comes in as the Pope.
That was you. I've got to watch that again. Sorry, I hadn't.
Yeah.
I was
Oh
looking
my
at The Wall.
God. It was so great. I had lunch. Ringo took us to the canteen. He picked up the tab at lunch, Roger Daltrey, me and Ringo. And why the hell I didn't bring my camera that day, I don't know. I think I was hoping to sleep with Roger Daltrey, who had the most divine body and skin, but his wife had given birth that day. So that took that, shine off that apple.
Yeah,
He
possibly
was celebrating. He was, ecstatic about his new baby. It may have been his first, I can't remember. And Ringo was, of course, as witty and amusing and is exactly how we all know him to be.
Always loved Ringo. I'm glad to hear that he's as nice as he is.
The funny thing is that it's not that funny, but considering how they all got together in their various, how the Beatles came together, they were all very witty. They were all witty and charming. That's pretty unusual, don't you think, for a band?
It is. No egos, just nice people. It's very rare.
Well, I don't know about the egos.
Well, you're allowed to have an ego, but being nice is always good as well.
Yeah. I mean, you never hear a bad word about George Harrison. You don't really hear a bad word about any of them except the non-member of the band, that being Yoko.
Oh, we won't tell.
And yeah.
Well, her music is interesting. We'll say that.
Well, no, her and her music is separate to what, her reputation to do with the band. I mean, when she started, I mean, it's also obvious what I'm talking about, but you know where I'm coming from. The band itself, we never hear a bad word really about them. John went a bit astray, mentally with drugs for a while, whatever. But anyway, no, they're divine. And by the way, pretty much the same with the Rolling Stones.
They're nice as well. Excellent.
Well, Mick Jagger is divine, and you never hear bad things about any of them.
Yeah, it does my heart good to hear that.
Yeah.
I have one more question before we run away, because I know you're on a time scale and I'm on a limited time thing. Famous nip slips. Do the swim. So that was amazing. Tell our listeners what happened.
Okay. Well, I hope they know what we're referring to. I had pink hair at the time, and I had a song on a record art called "Do the Swim," and Janet Street Porter, who talks like this, she's still on Loose Ladies or whatever, one of those shows in England, in London, and has a rights with the Daily Mail. So she's very, very much still out there with us. I mean, out, in a prominent social way, whatever, media. And she's so there. We were filming it. She had a show. It was on a Sunday. She said, "Now you've only got one take, so you better get it right." Anyway, I'd borrowed a friend's bathing suit, which was strapless, and I just, started doing my thing. And I could feel it sliding down, but I kept pulling it up, thinking nothing had been revealed. And then it wasn't till the very end, when I finished and the camera was still rolling, that I looked down and saw that, in fact, it had slid past my nipples, revealing my nipples, and burst out laughing. But it wasn't planned. And I'm going to tell you right now, I finally got, because I just saw a still from the film of me doing the floor show. In fact, I think I'm rehearsing the floor show. I can't remember if it's just me on my own rehearsing, because Barry's behind me. Anyway, and my arms are up and my breasts have popped out, right? Out of the corset that was fitted to me, made for me, as opposed to that swimsuit, right? And this has happened to me so much in my life that I've popped out of things. And I finally got to the bottom. I hope I'm not boring the listeners to death, to the reason why. I was asked, Trudy Styler, Sting's wife, asked me to jump out of Sting's 40th birthday cake. So, of course, I had to do it. And it was going to be in LA after his concert at the Hollywood Bowl, the birthday party. It was, and they had a famous Hollywood costumier make my corset. And when I went to be measured by her, and she'd made, corsets for you can imagine all the famous old divas. She said, she measured me and she said, you are very long between your navel and from here to here, but like to my neck, that area is much longer.
The décolletage.
So basically from my navel up is longer than from my navel to my crotch, that proportion. So that is why my breasts are higher than the corsets. People listening are going to say, don't even start now trying to justify all of these endless, risque exposures. But that is that I thought, well, finally, I'm being told about it by a professional. It's been solved.
It has been solved, but 49 years, well, actually 47 years after the first nipple slip-on movies, I'm okay with that.
Oh, dear.
Many a young lady turned over those. And a few boys probably turned back.
I cannot tell you, when you see my show, you'll see so many times me flashing. I don't know what the hell. It was all done with humor, but my God, I don't know what I was doing. I mean, I do know what I was doing. But it was all, I don't know, basically every time I did anything like that on purpose, which was at my club and not just at my club, all over the shop, it was to make people laugh. I did it once I was shooting the rapids down through the Grand Canyon on the Colorado River. And it was like an eight, actually I did it for 7 days or something. Anyway, it was just the most incredible thing to do. I didn't know anyone. I just joined this group, and we were actually in little wooden rowing boats, not those big inflatable things people go down in. But we ran out of ice, and we saw another boat that we knew the guides knew had ice, and we were trying to get their attention and we couldn't. So I finally just lifted my shirt up. Ice.
You are so subtle.
I know, for some reason they responded to that, but nothing, they hadn't responded to anything else. Anyway, we got our ice.
I can't think why. Oh, you have made me laugh. You have made me cry when you died. Oh God, that's a movie spoiler. If you haven't seen the Rocky Horror Show, and it's 47 years since it's been out, you don't know the spoilers.
She died. She just was unconscious.
Yeah, we don't know. It might have been a stun gun. Who knows?
It was a stun gun. That's exactly what it was. It was a stun gun.
Yeah, and she's currently on the sun-drenched moons of Transylvania.
Wait, I've suddenly lost your sound. I can't hear you suddenly. Wait a minute.
So sorry.
There you go. I can hear you now. Yeah.
I have lost sound.
Anyway, I hope very much that the listeners will come to see me and come to meet me at All's Nell That Ends Nell. It's Brisbane and the Gold Coast, starting with Brunswick Heads on the 9th, then the Gold Coast on the 14th and the Brisbane on the 15th. And I'm doing 2 shows, an evening show and a matinee.
And all the links will be on the website for everybody who needs it. So thank you so much for your time. And it has been a true pleasure.
Thank you very, very much for having me. And bravo yet again for your incredible outfit. I'm hugely impressed. You look divine.
One day we shall meet and then see. and wait again. And
Over and out.
thank you so much for
Thank
your
you,
time.
Lush. Pleasure. Goodbye.
Thank you. Can I ask one favor before you run?
Sure.
Could you do a sting for us? This is Little Nell, and you're listening to Gaywaves Radio in 2SER.
Absolutely. You're
Go
listening
for
to
it.
Gaywaves Radio
2SER FM.
2SC.
S for Sydney, E for Echo, R for Romeo. 2SER FM.
Okay, I'm gonna have to write that down. I'll never get
Just
it
go
right.
Gaywaves Radio. It's fine. I'm about to lose my link.
Okay.
So,
Hello, you ready?
Go for it.
Hello, darlings. Nell Campbell here. Yes, Little Nell from the Rocky Horror Picture Show, Columbia, and you are listening to Gay Waves. And my God, are they gay? And my God, do they incite waves, tsunamis of fabulousness and everything LGBTQ plus. So remember, check us out.
This is why I love you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much, Lush. Goodbye, and I hope we'll meet again.
We shall meet again. Thank you. Bye.
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 Bye.